Cool. All right. Now I know where my head cuts off and where it doesn't. Anyway, welcome to Yin Yoga. You can have props handy if you need them. I'll cue with both options. And for tonight, let's start off in a seated pose. And it can be a nice seated, easy pose. It could be half lotus or full lotus if you want. Wherever you choose to be, just know you're going to be here for the next 5 minutes. And with yin, I'll cue you into a pose. I'll give you a few seconds to suss around. But then I really encourage you to find some physical stillness, connect with your breath, and then some mental stillness, which I feel is the real challenge of yin. So, finding your comfortable seated position. Take a full inhale in through the nose. Exhale either out through the nose or out through the mouth with an audible sigh. And then let your next inhale be nice and full. Exhale out. One more big breath. Full in. And out. And find your stillness for the next 5 minutes. One minute left in this pose. So maybe try to make the breath a little bit longer. Then on your next exhale, sigh out. So feel free to take a full inhale. So you can sigh on your exhale. Then slowly release. Coming now into child's pose. And you can have the knees together or apart, or have a bolster handy or pillow. And if you want, you can always give yourself an incline with your child's pose. I'll cue you when it's halfway, so if you're doing an incline, you know when to turn your head. So find your child's pose that you can find stillness in for the next 5 minutes. Take a full inhale in. Slowly exhale out. And let's begin. Halfway there. So if you need to make any adjustments, make them now, and then return back to your stillness. in the last 30 seconds of this pose. Use your last cycle of breath. Sigh it out, and as you inhale, bring yourself up. And then bring yourself long onto your mat. So you're still prone. Adjust yourself so both hip bones are even. Legs are about hips distance apart. Feet are the tops of the feet are planted. Elbows are underneath the shoulders. Forearms pressed down, hands pressed down, coming into Sphinx pose. If this is too much, you can always take a blanket or a low pillow underneath the stomach and the thigh, or in the hip bone area. So begin rooting down. You'll be here for 3 minutes. And while you're here, really focus on creating a connection with the earth with your arms, sliding the shoulders down and away, maybe pulling the heart open, looking up, perfect. Halfway through this pose, maybe just give yourself a quick body scan. See if you're tensing anywhere. Try to release. Take your last cycle of breath here. And then slowly stack your hands on top of each other in front of you and place your forehead onto your mat or onto your hands for a crocodile pose. So once you get here, maybe you turn the heels in and toes can come out. And you're going to be here for 2 minutes. And then your forehead can stay here if you want, or you can bring your chin to rest onto your hands. But bring your feet long, flat onto the mat, and then bend your left knee and take it up to hip height. And then turn your left foot out. So you'll have a nice straight, long L shape from the head to the hip, then from hip to knee, and then another one from knee to ankle, and then ankle to toe. So now you're in your half frog pose. If you need to, maybe you put a blanket underneath your knee to help support it, knowing that you will be here for the next 5 minutes. So your left knee is parallel to the left hip. If you want, you can reach your right arm out to a T just to give some, just to like create this nice long line from left to right if you would like. So suss around, find some stillness, and I'll cue you when there's a halfway point. Halfway. So maybe give yourself a body scan, see where you can lengthen a little bit or release some tension. You're in the last 45 seconds of this pose. So really enjoy these last few cycles of breath you'll take. Finish your cycle of breath and slowly meet back in your crocodile pose. Left leg is long behind you. Maybe the heels come in. Hands stack on top of each other, resting your forehead onto your hands for the next 2 minutes. Last 30 seconds. Slowly extend your legs long, the feet come back onto the mat, and then bring your right knee up to your right hip. And then have your right hand turn out, coming into half frog pose now on the right side. And you can always place a blanket underneath your right knee. And then make a choice. Do you want to take your left arm out to a T or not? Knowing that you'll be here for the next 5 minutes. So give yourself a little body scan here. Notice if you're holding any tension anywhere. And it could be even in the left leg or in the jaw. Suss around and find some stillness now. halfway there. Maybe see if you can deepen the breath. You're in the last 15 seconds, so maybe take a really long inhale and really long exhale. And then extend your leg long behind you. Bring the elbows underneath the shoulders. And this time, clasp opposite elbows and push yourself up. See if this is like a comfortable height for you. Or if you want, you can lower down and walk your elbows a little bit closer to the top of your mat and then come up for a seal. And you can always take a bolster at about where your hips are. Come over a bolster this route too. So you're just coming a little higher than Sphinx pose. And this is a back bend and it can be a little intense on your low back. So if you need to come out at any point, you can. But the idea is to come up just a little higher. And you'll be here for about 3 minutes. So while you're here in these next few seconds getting adjusted, maybe you turn your hands out a little bit so you can press up. Release the glutes. Find a space too where you're able to keep the shoulders sliding down away from the ears. As you settle into this, you might find yourself starting to do one of the numbers of bringing the shoulders close to the ears. So find a point of stillness and let's begin our 3 minutes. Halfway through this pose. Last 10 seconds. Take the breath where you need it. And then when your exhale comes to you, slowly lower down. Tuck under your toes and make your way into a downward dog pose. Lots of options here. So you can do a traditional downward dog, or you can take your feet as wide as your mat, or maybe you come down onto your forearms. But we'll be here for the next 3 minutes. So find the downward dog you need. And let's begin. I'll cue you about halfway through. Halfway through here. So try to see if you can root your hands down and really slide your hips up towards the sky. You're building strength. You're in the last 30 seconds of this pose. So really lean into the breath here. And then take a full inhale in through your nose. And as you exhale, open up your mouth and sigh it out. Bring your feet about hips distance apart. And if you're on your forearms, gently make your way onto your hands. Bring your right leg high to the sky and step your right foot to the outside of your right hand, setting yourself up for your dragon pose. So drop your left knee. And then make a choice if you need to tuck under your left toes and extend your left knee back just a little bit. And then when you feel like you have a nice distance for your quad, have the top of your left foot totally onto the mat. And stay here with the hands onto the mat or a block. We're going to slowly come into a dragon. So we'll be here for a minute in our baby dragon. You can choose to stay here for the next 2 minutes, or maybe slowly start coming down a little bit lower with the forearms onto the mat or a block. Try to keep your right foot planted totally into the mat. Right knee is hugging into the right shoulder. And settle into your breath. Halfway there. Finish your cycle of breath and use your inhale to come back up onto your hands. And then slowly start taking the bum to the left heel and straightening the right leg for a split. And you can move your hands to frame the right leg, and you can use blocks. Or if you don't have blocks, the last 2 books of the Harry Potter series is really great too. Come up nice and tall, and if you want, you can fold over. Staying here for 1 minute. Thirty seconds left. And then carefully make your way back into your downward dog. Knowing that you can take it wide or onto the forearms. Suss around here, and then find some stillness for the next minute. Use your next inhale to make it nice and full. and sigh it out as you exhale. Find yourself into a traditional downward dog, and then take your left leg high to the sky and step your left foot to the outside of your left hand, dropping your right knee. And then before you let everything go, just see if you need to have a deeper stretch in the right quad. If you do, tuck under your right toes and walk your right knee back just a little bit, and then untuck your right toes, have the top of your right foot touch the mat. Okay. Use blocks if you need to prop your hands up. You'll be in this baby lizard or baby dragon pose for 1 minute. So try to find some connection with the ground, rooting the hands down. "30 seconds left." Guide your forearms down as you exhale, where you will find stillness for the next 2 minutes, starting now. One minute left. So with these deep hip openers, just be mindful that you're not clenching or creating tension somewhere else. There are times where these poses may seem uncomfortable. So suss around, see what you need, but know that you've done hard things before and that you can work through this. You've got this. Last 15 seconds. And then use your inhale to guide yourself up. And then slowly start bringing your bum to your right heel, straightening your left, making a choice if you want to frame your left leg or not. And then you can always stay up tall or walk forward, where you'll be for the next minute, starting now. And then use your inhale. Breathe it in. And then as you exhale, make your way into a tabletop pose. Okay. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. Bring the right knee through the hands, and setting yourself up for your swan pose. So if you want something deeper, try to bring the right shin parallel to the mat. But if you want something a little restorative, keep the right heel close to the left hip. You can always place anything you need underneath the hips, like a blanket or a block. And then you can have your bolster handy to fold over. But come up nice and tall. Take a nice full inhale in. Be proud. Open up the chest, okay? And then when you exhale, slowly fold forward, coming into a sleeping swan. If you'd like, you can always stay up. You can always stay up tall if you would like to, because you'll be here for the next 5 minutes. So choose the variation you need right now. And I will cue you when we're halfway through. Halfway through. about the last minute of this pose. Take your full cycle of breath and sigh it out as you exhale. Use your inhale to guide yourself up, so hands slowly come underneath your shoulders. Remove any props. And then coming onto your right hip, bring your left leg around and stack your left knee on top of your right. If this is too much, you can always come into a fire log variation. So you're in shoelace, you're up nice and tall. Grab a hold of your ankles first. Stay here. Or if you would like, bring your right hand behind you and left hand on top. Sitting up nice and tall. Stay here. So this is your second variation. Or you can fold forward. So find a spot you need tonight for the next 5 minutes. And no worries, I will cue you halfway through. All you need to do is focus on your breath and stillness. About halfway through. You're entering the last 30 seconds. slowly come back into your original pose of taking a hold of the ankles if you're not already. Just take a cycle of breath here. You're doing a lot of good work, so let's just check in. And then when you're ready, you'll switch your legs being stacked. So now the left leg will be on the bottom and the right leg will be on top. Come up nice and tall. Take a hold of the ankles first and foremost. Maybe suss around, see what needs to be bolstered. And then when you're ready, bring your left arm behind, right arm on top. You can stay in this second variation. The first one is holding onto the ankles, or the third variation is folding over. To keep with equanimity, I encourage you to take the same variation, but you, in the end, need to do what's best for you. So find that spot, and I'll see you in 5 minutes, but I'll cue you halfway through. All right, halfway point. Take a long cycle of breath here. Maybe sigh it out as you exhale, it's your choice. And then use your inhale to bring yourself up, taking hold of your ankles. And then leave your left leg where it's at, but then bring your right leg around, setting yourself up for your swan pose on this side. So you may need to bolster the hips. You can always tuck under the right toes and walk the right knee back a little bit. Make a choice if you need anything in front of you. Start with your hands underneath your shoulders, come up nice and tall. And then maybe walk forward and find a sleeping swan pose. But whatever you choose, know you'll be here for the next 5 minutes. So enjoy. Halfway point. next 30 seconds. And then slowly come into a tabletop pose. Bring yourself back long onto the mat, prone. And then flip yourself over. So now you're supine. Your face up. Bring the knees into the chest and take the knees as wide as the shoulders. So maybe they're on the outside of the rib cage. Making peace fingers, grab a hold of the big toes and send your feet high to the sky. So now you're in your happy baby pose. You can move around here if you would like, or if you want to stick with some stillness, you can stay with stillness. About halfway through. Finish your last cycle of breath and then slowly bringing the knees into the chest. Bring one leg long, then the other, and have your arms come down to the side for your Shavasana, knowing that I'm minding the time for you. Okay, yogis, stay here. That's fine. But if you want, you can slowly make your way onto your right side and then up into a seated position. No rush. And if you stay in your Shavasana pose, just know that you can come out of it at any point, even when this ends. If you've come into a seated pose, meet with hands in heart center and give yourself a soft bow. Take a nice full cycle of breath. I honor this place inside of me in which the entire universe dwells. It is a place of kindness, it's a place of compassion, and it's a place of peace. And when I am in this place in me and you are in this place in you, we are one. Namaste. Okay, yogis, I'm just going to end the meeting and let you be on your way. Happy Thursday, and thank you. Lots of love. Bye.